Muses of Mythology is a spoiler-heavy podcast.
That's an understatement.
We're going to discuss not just the events of this book, but the Rhineverse as a whole, and really anything that we feel is relevant. You can find full spoiler warnings in the show notes. Yo, I get an email that is like a daily newsletter. Literally, it's just news about what's going on. And the title is always some like pop culture quote. And today's was, "I'm going to be king of the pirates." Nice. And I was like, what? And they never acknowledge it. It has nothing to do with what the rest of the post, the news is about. They never even like say where it's from. It's just blurb. And I was like, hell yeah. Welcome to Muses of Mythology, a podcast where we explore how ancient myths become part of modern pop culture through the lens of Rick Riordan's, Percy Jackson, and the Olympian series. This is Story 67. I'm your co-host and podcasting muse, Darian Smart. Joining me is my co-host and brother, DJ.
How's everybody doing today? I'm the muse of dreams. I do not make them, I inspire them.
You don't make them, you just inspire dreams.
I inspire dreams.
Dreams and nightmares? Just dreams?
I don't know.
All right, Mr. Sandman, well, let's muse around in the garden for a minute. This week, we want to shout out and give a huge thank you to upgrading patron Finn Blake. They've been a patron for some time, and it is so mind-blowingly cool to see folks who not just like the show enough to donate, but also like what we do enough to be like, all right, yeah, you've earned a raise. Thank you to Finn for becoming one of our podcast heroes. You make our hearts absolutely soar. If you'd like to join the cool kids club like Finn and all of our other patrons and see the extras they enjoy every month, check out patreon.com/MusesOfMythology and check it out. Even if you don't have the extra drachmas at the moment, we thank you so much for supporting the show by listening. And if you want to support the show even more, you can leave us a review on your preferred podcasting app. If you leave us a review before this coming Halloween 2023, you have a chance to win a very excellent book that we've talked about a couple of times. But more on that when DJ rejoins me for the end of the episode. And with that, back to the show. All right, DJ, I hope you're well awake and alert because we are going to talk about...
I'm never well awake and alert.
Well, mood. I am a very, very EP girl,
yeah,
as our friend Robert would say. I nap too much. I am getting into Alani Nu energy drinks.
Yep, it happens. Napping happens. You just kind of go through a napping phase. I did.
All right, so I'm trying not... We won't be napping in this episode. We've got a lot to cover.
Yeah.
We're talking about Morpheus.
Yes.
DJ, what do you know about Morpheus from the Percy Jackson books?
Well, he shows up, and then 6 books later, he's retconned into hypnosis.
Yeah.
Maybe not 6. Maybe
More
like
than that.
More than 6?
5,
Did it happen?
10... Nope.
Did it happen in Trials?
The Sun and the Star, baby.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
11 books later.
11 books of the main line later.
Yeah. 11 Camp Half-Blood books later.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry about that. We're talking myths in Last Olympian, and in Last Olympian, all of the humans in Manhattan are put to sleep.
Yep.
And it's like before that happens, we know it's the work or... Well, I guess they're all put to sleep by Hypnos. They're all put to sleep by Hypnos. Morpheus. But
Morpheus now, Hypnos later.
Yeah, but we get a little bit of foreshadowing on that chaos because do you remember how that setup worked?
Grover is found just fast asleep in Central Park.
Yeah, Grover's been missing for 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months.
2 months, and he's found fast asleep in Central Park. And then he tells Percy that this dude showed up and was like, the preparations aren't ready, and then just put Grover to sleep.
Yeah, exactly that. He tells Percy that he felt a tremble in the ground like something powerful was near. You can sense stuff like that? Since Pan's death, I can feel when something's wrong in nature. It's like my ears or eyes are sharper when I'm in the wild. Anyway, I started following the scent.
We're going to call Central Park the Wild now? This is like the most domesticated ass park. Have you seen a map of Manhattan Island?
He was walking in the woods up by Harlem Mere.
That is still on Manhattan Island in Central Park.
I don't think it is.
Is it not?
I think it may actually be like almost okay, like here we have like the foothills, or like by the river, where if you're not in a park, you're like in a city, but if you head by the river and there's like this overgrown, I actually don't know what counts as the wilds. We can't do this. No, we covered that in our Pan episode. We can't do this.
I think the problem is that it's just still on Manhattan Island.
But I would actually like that idea that you can find pockets of wild anywhere, even on Manhattan Island.
Then why did Pan die?
We can't do this again. We can't do this again. Listeners, head back to our
Pan episode.
Our season 4 finale, The Great God Panis Soup.
It's so dumb.
We can't do this again. So he says, this man in a long black coat was walking through the park, and I noticed, okay, maybe he was in Central Park.
he's just somewhere on, again, Long Island, which is like...
To be clear, Manhattan is not Long Island.
Well, they're on
As
Long
Erica
Island. Whatever
of
the
CB
fuck,
Brain told me many times.
Manhattan Island, whatever that strip of island is that everybody knows that is like New York but isn't, right? Is like whatever. I cannot argue that anywhere is the wilds on that single island.
I can't. Okay. He had a long black coat, was walking through the park, and I noticed he didn't cast a shadow. Middle of a sunny day, and he cast no shadow. Kind of shimmered as he moved. Like a mirage, Nico asked. Yes, and whenever he passed humans, the humans would pass out, curl up, and go to sleep. That's right. Then after he was gone, they'd get up and go about their business like nothing happened. He said he followed him, looking at buildings around the park, making estimates or something. And then, I was about to summon some dryads to help me capture him when he turned his face, Percy. I couldn't make out his face. It kept shifting. Just looking at... I have to turn the page. I'm so sorry. Just looking at him made me sleepy. I said, what are you doing? He said, just having a look around. You should always scout a battlefield before the battle. I said something really smart, like, this forest is under my protection. You won't be starting any battles here. And he laughed. He said, you're lucky I'm saving my energy for the main event, little satyr. I'll just grant you a short nap. Pleasant dreams. And that's the last thing I remember.
2 months.
Nico exhaled. Grover, you met Morpheus, the god of dreams. You're lucky you ever woke up. So.
Morpheus. 11 books later, Hypnos.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. We're talking about Morpheus here. And is it because I mostly just want to talk about the Sandman? Yes. Don't worry about it here. Don't worry about it. We're moving on. We're moving on. So, Morpheus, god of dreams, he sided with Kronos during the Second Titan War and put the mortals to sleep during the Siege of Manhattan.
Yep.
Ever-shifting, long black cloak. That's why I get to justify that this is definitely a direct reference to the Sandman. Rick, I know what you did. I know you've read the Sandman. You had Magnus Chase talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably, yeah.
Have you seen what Morpheus looks like in the early...
have.
Okay, so you know what's up.
Yeah.
Okay, so in mythology, Morpheus...
It's involved in one story.
Let me get back to that. Morpheus... Okay, so his name means literally like ever-shifting. Like it's where we get like metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like it means...
Yeah, morph.
Like it literally means that. So it's reflecting this deity's desire to like literally shape dreams as well as like his own personal appearance. It says he could appear to mortals in their dreams as whatever he desired. Mm-hmm. This is something we see in the Iliad. Because Zeus sends Morpheus to... Oh, he sends Morpheus to deliver a message to Agamemnon.
Okay.
And Morpheus appears as in...
His child.
Yeah, Iphigenia, the one he murdered. Wouldn't that... It would have been...
haunted the shit out of Agamemnon.
Wow. It would have been a really different book if Morpheus had shown up as Iphigenia. Like, I think I maybe like everything a lot more. I'm not able to find the passage in our Robert Fagel's translation, so I'm just getting this off of a website that actually has a passage, but is not saying the translation, so I apologize, gang.
Okay.
Up go thou, baneful dream, onto the swift ships of the Achaeans, and when thou art to come to the hut of Agamemnon, son of Atreus, tell him all my word truly, even as I charge thee. Bid him arm the long-haired Bid him arm the long-haired Achaeans with all the speed, since now he may take the broad-wayed city of Troy. Okay, usually I edit out all of my stumblings and stuff, but this is why I don't like just random translations, because they do the these and thous, and it's just absolute nonsense, making it sound older and more archaic, as if that makes it any different, but it's not any closer to the original Greek, then it's nonsense, and I hate it.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Anyway, he just sends a dream. He sends Morpheus to go deliver him a dream. And I think he appears as Nestor or something. I don't remember. I'm mad now. So.
No, yeah, I don't blame you. It's kind of a ridiculous thing that translators have done, and it's just dumb.
Yeah, and I do like Robert Fagel's one because he does not do that. I mean, it's a little bit more of a poetic prose, really, but it's a poem, so it's
more of like an 1800s author, not a fucking 1500s author.
Yeah. But he doesn't say these and thous, no, necessarily. Now, that said, am I going to buy Emily Wilson's translation as soon as it's available this month?
Yeah.
Yes, I will. And we will be using that one going forward.
Okay.
But for the interim, anyway, this has been Darian's raging about translation quirks corner. So, Zeus sends Morpheus in the Iliad, deliver dream. Morpheus is never mentioned by name in that.
Yeah.
It's literally he says dream, capitalized, but it's an unnamed, sleep or dream spirit. This figure being Morpheus is something that was attributed later when Morpheus became a more prominent character. And so you'd have interpretations like, oh, this was likely Morpheus then. But the name Morpheus doesn't appear in any ancient Greek text.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Stephen Scully, a professor of classic studies and director of graduate studies at Boston University, has said that Morpheus is just a Roman spelling of the Greek word morph. And we don't have the name in any ancient Greek texts, nor is this figure ever rendered in any sort of visual. That means no painting or friezes or there's nothing, no statues.
Yeah.
The first and only mention of Morpheus comes from Ovid's Metamorphosis.
Of course.
The fucking hack, he's back again.
Ovid is here to just make up shit.
Ovid is here to just make up shit. You got these two figures, right? And this story is actually about Syrinx and Alcinoe, and they were king and queen of Trachis. And they loved each other greatly. And they were actually good rulers. They ruled their kingdom with peace and justice. They were very popular, well-liked. The problem is they had, a really unfortunate habit of their pet names for each other were Zeus and Hera, equating themselves to the king and... which is, not a great pet name for a lovey couple.
No.
But,
no, it's not.
No, it's really not. I would equate that to calling you and your significant other Joker and Harley.
Yeah.
Harley and Ivy, on the other hand.
Specifically within Harley Quinn, the DC series.
Well, yes, the animated series is very good too, but that's canonical to the comics too. Harley and Ivy are a couple.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But specifically in the animated series.
Yeah, in the animated series is what's goals, not the comics one, maybe.
No, the comics one is goals too.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, they're goals. Harley and Ivy are goals. And so Zeus didn't like this. He didn't appreciate this.
And that's super fair.
He sent a dream warning them that if they didn't stop this behavior, he would... No, I'm kidding. When Syrinx went and took a ship, he hit the ship with lightning and sunk it. And so...
good on him.
So as the ship went down...
Don't be using my name. I know it's not great, but don't be using my name.
Yeah, I guess fair. I wouldn't appreciate it either. Yeah. So as the ship went down, the king prayed to the gods for his body to wash up on shore so his wife would find it. Alikane. Yeah, Alikane. Sure. So she waited and prayed to the gods for her husband's safe return, unaware that he had been... How does our brother describe the fate of the parents in Frozen? They were annihilated by the sea?
Probably.
Yeah. Unaware that her husband had been annihilated by the sea.
Except he wasn't annihilated by the sea.
He was annihilated by Zeus. That's true. Poseidon had nothing to do with this. But Hera was so moved by the queen's dedication and love for her husband that Hera sent Iris, messenger goddess, to tell Hypnos, god of sleep, to send his son Morpheus to bring the queen a dream. And in the dream, Morpheus appears to Alcine in the form of her husband, telling her of her husband's fates. And so upon awakening, she was so distraught that she ran to the shore, tearing her clothes and screaming in anguish. And there she did find her husband's body. And she gave him the proper burial rites, anointing the body, doing all the things, before throwing herself in the sea in despair. And the gods were all just heartbroken by this tragic events. And even Zeus was moved by the love that she showed her husband, probably because he knew that Hera would never, justifiably. This is not shade to Hera. He just knew he would never have that.
Yeah.
And so to make amends for his rash actions, he transformed the couple into halcyon birds.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's not a bad one.
No, it's fine. Ovid and another writer actually both make metamorphosis the origin of the term halcyon days, which is a term when you describe 7 days in winter where no storms occur.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that this is the time when halcyon birds will lay their eggs. And so the story goes that Alcyon's father was Aelios, god of the winds. And so the reason there's no storms is because that's when he restrains the wind so his daughter can lay her eggs.
Mm.
It's important to note that the kingfisher, which is the bird this is credited to, does not live by the sea. So Ovid's tale is not based on any actual observations of the species and actually refers to a mythical bird.
Oh, there you go.
That was later identified as the kingfisher.
Oh.
So
I'm sure there are many things that were labeled as mythical and then identified later.
Yeah. So in this very text, Ovid names Morpheus as the son of Somnus.
People are like, I swear this fucking animal rolled up into a rock, dude. Swear to God on my life. It's just an armadillo.
Yeah. No, but animals do wild things. So, and humans have to just
There was a
grapple.
spider as big as my fucking torso, man. I swear to God. It's just a huntsman spider in Australia.
Oh, just. DJ, I just had to clear off all the cobwebs by the house. I am actively in fear of the spiders coming for their revenge. I'm sorry, spiders. There's too many cobwebs. A lot of them were abandoned. Had to go. It was literally blocking the lights.
Yeah, it was bad.
But also, I'm so afraid of the spiders coming for their revenge. And you mentioned the huntsman spider. Anyway. So this is actually also where we get the idea that Morpheus is, I guess I should have mentioned earlier, Morpheus is supposed to be a son of Hypnos.
Yeah.
He's one of the Onerai who are just a bunch of different dream spirits. Don't worry about that. Because he says he was the son of Somnus, which is the Roman name for Hypnos. Mm-hmm. Because again, Ovid is a Roman poet.
Yeah.
And so he describes Morpheus as winged, which is just a common trait among sleep gods. They often have wings. Probably to reflect the fact that sleep and how it moves so quickly. Yeah. And sometimes is hard to capture. Ovid also names two of Morpheus's brothers, Iselos and Phobrator, which means like, and the Frightener. And then Phantasmos, which is fantasy. And they're each responsible for different kinds of dreams and creation of shapes. These names are also found in no other places and are likely more creations of Ovid. They have been referred to as literary and, in fact, not mythical concepts.
Hell yeah.
Which kind of means that Morpheus is not myth as we know it.
No.
And that's...
But hypnosis.
Okay, well, if you're going to transition me into that, I want to spend a little space talking about what does that actually mean? Is it myth now because it's so long? But if we're talking about Greek myth, and Morpheus does not come from Greek myth, but nor does that story of Medusa and Poseidon. So, what are we playing with here?
And it goes, I think it loosely ties into the simple fact that Cthulhu's not myth. But he is.
You do like bringing up Cthulhu.
Yeah, because I think it is the most interesting thing to happen to anything contemporary.
No, for real. I didn't mean that as you have to defend it as more as yes, this is a good point of reference that you have to use, and I agree with it. Yeah,
because it really is this man was alive less than 200 years ago. Mm-hmm. I don't remember when H.P. Lovecraft lived, but he made works that some people, if not looked closely enough and don't actually know, would believe is something akin to Greek mythology.
H.P. Lovecraft was born 1890, died 1937.
So he was alive 100 years. Damn, he was only like 40? It's rough.
No, I think that's a good point. I think we'd also cite the same thing for it's interesting. I was about to say Bram Stoker with Dracula and Mary Shelley with Frankenstein, but those don't exist as myth in the same way. They've just become
folktale.
Yeah, almost folktale. They've so heavily influenced that storytelling tradition.
And it's what's the difference between myth and folktale?
Purpose.
Purpose? I mean, folktales have purpose.
Yes, but no, not to say folktales don't have purpose, but the purpose of the story. Myth is religion, and folktale is cultural lesson.
Okay.
And that's what I say the difference is. But so that's why I think Morpheus, like I said, literary versus mythic are different. It seems like in this one, Morpheus is perhaps a literary figure, not a mythic figure, who has been supplanted onto mythic things, specifically the Iliad.
Mm-hmm.
But simultaneously, like you say, with Cthulhu is literary, not myth or folktale. But the influence has become such that if you have a lineup of mythic characters and Cthulhu is there, it is not weird. People would not think that's odd.
Cthulhu is in Smite as of, I think, 3 or 4 years ago.
Cthulhu is in Smite.
Yeah. He's so big they had to make his camera different.
Yeah. He's scary. I don't like it.
Super funny.
So all right, DJ, as you've alluded to.
Actually, Jormungandr was the first one to have that camera angle.
That makes more sense. Yeah, it's big guy.
Yep.
Big old snaky boy.
Mm-hmm.
So DJ, you were saying about Hypnos?
Hypnos is in fact in a lot more.
Yeah. Hypnos is actually a mythic character. And as we've said already, is in fact was retconned. I love that the Camp Half-Blood books have been going on for so long that Rick Riordan can just retcon his own stuff. Some things don't last that long.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten to the point where he's actually, it was Hypnos. Because
it makes more sense to be Hypnos.
More sense
He's
to be
sleep, not dream.
Hypnos. Yeah, Morpheus doesn't put anybody to sleep. He just sends messages over dream.
Yeah.
Hypnos puts people to sleep. So we have to say, canonically, did Nico, our mytho-magic boy, just accidentally get the two confused? Or maybe Hypnos is not in mytho-magic, but Morpheus is. And that is the canonical explanation explaining it.
Recency bias. Hypnos and Morpheus, because it's father and son, actually look pretty identical. And Nico had just happened to meet Morpheus prior to this engagement.
Yes. I just thought it was Morpheus. Yep. So let me... no, it's so in Sun and the Star, it is also... So in... Spoilers for Sun and the Star, but also by now, y'all really should have read this.
Yeah, it's been out for a couple of months.
If you should have read it if you're worried about spoilers. If you're not, you do what you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
But don't come at us. Also, spoiler warnings in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny that it's retcon, but not acknowledge that it was originally said to be Morpheus. I also wonder if more recent books say it's Hypnos and not Morpheus.
I don't remember them ever bringing it up.
I don't know. But I mean, more recent... this is the first... I have a first edition. I've only ever read the first edition of Last Olympian.
Oh, more recent printings.
Yeah, more recent printings. I apologize. Yeah, more recent printings of the book if it's been changed to Morpheus. Listeners, does anybody know?
Barnes & Noble, we grab the most recent printing and check.
Flip. Yeah, one of the recent with the covers that I like. So it's when Nico, we finally get the story of what happened to him when he was in Tartarus. And he goes to the House of Nyx.
Mm-hmm.
And there first he encounters Nemesis. Then he ends up in the House of Nyx, where he encounters Nyx and also Hypnos.
Mm-hmm.
And it's noted that Hypnos, when he's just telling the story, Hypnos is the one that put all of Manhattan to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it's not acknowledged that Nico said it was Morpheus.
Probably because it is just I want to retcon this and I don't want to talk about it.
I actually like that more than it just being he's I was mistaken.
Probably
I said it was Morpheus and I meant Hypnos. And I think it's just smoother to be it's been Hypnos the whole time. Don't worry, retcon.
The same vein that in Sea of Monsters, Blackjack was she, and then in Titan's Curse, he was he.
That's right. And don't worry about it. I don't care.
It's just a mistake, dude. I didn't want it to be a girl to begin with. It was
it's
a Pegasus. You think about it, it's like, whoa. Other than one, it's a black fucking Pegasus. It's goddamn.
Okay, like. Yeah, you have a point. I get what you're saying. I think Blackjack could have been a lady Pegasus.
I mean, yeah.
But also, I think he in his head is like, this character gives
the way I'm writing
vibe.
this character, I want him to be a dude.
Yeah, it's like Blackjack. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever. So, Hypnos. Now, this description is the same guy.
Yeah.
We've got Hypnos is
black robes, ever-changing face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the like official art that came out before Sun and the Star, just like being like, oh, me Nemesis, me these. So we got Hypnos. This is the art for Hypnos.
He looks cool.
Yeah, he looks really cool. You could roll and tell me, oh yeah, that's Morpheus. That's a dream from the Sandman. And I'd be like, hell yeah, it is. What a great look. That is the jacket, like the same. Rick, I see you. We did not change the jacket design. Even when we specified, actually, it's Hypnos, not Morpheus. He's a child of Nyx and Erebos in the Percy Jackson books, though in mythology, traditionally, he's just a child of Nyx and has no father. Sometimes it's also said as being Erebus, but usually it's just Nyx created her own children because she's a Nyx and she can do that. We'll get into that eventually. For now, let's focus on Hypnos. DJ? What do you know about Hypnos?
He's the god of sleep.
He's the god of sleep.
I mean, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's it.
That's really it. Yeah. Hypnos. He's it's fun to note, he is specifically an underworld god.
Yeah.
He
was born from Nyx.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's something we haven't, like we mentioned occasionally, like, oh, underworld gods, but I like, maybe in our underworld episode would like to get into like how those are classified. Like, is it because he's considered like a member of Hades' court?
Yeah.
And is it just because he's a child of Nyx who resides in the underworld, or were there like this concept of
chthonic
sleep? Yeah. Like, what was it? Also, like, what was it about sleep that had the ancient Greeks be like, this is a thing from the underworld? Because
it mimics death.
Exactly. Because it's not just, oh, yeah, god of sleep, child of Nyx. His twin brother is Thanatos, the god of death. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, leaning into the Percy Jackson stuff, just hanging out in Camp Half-Blood books a little bit longer, I wonder if the fact that the heroes are always having dream visions is somewhat related to the concept of death and omnipotence from it, and are tapping into almost that. That's something that's never really
talked about why these heroes have these dreams.
Yeah, just heroes have dreams. Like, yeah, but why is this? It doesn't always show up. It's not a superpower. Sometimes it feels like it's like, oh, it was Kronos showing Percy these things. And other times it's really not.
Just relevant too.
Yeah,
it's almost always relevant.
It's always plot relevant.
Yeah.
But I think
it's just a way for espionage without espionage.
It is just a way for espionage. This is true. This is true. What do you think about when Apollo talked to Jason after he died? Do you think it was actually Jason?
It's hard to say, because the rules of this world are not set in stone.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the dream stuff. Because now, even at the end of Sun and Star, Nico got to talk to his family. Yeah,
but that was also in a dream, but it was Hades making it happen.
Yeah.
Also another retcon of, no, Bianca didn't actually get reborn. Like, don't worry about it. And that one I'm like, hey, Rick, I'm a little less cool with this thing.
Well, maybe she got reborn, lived out her life.
Maybe she got reborn, and this is Hades bringing the part
maybe
of the soul that
the
was
dream.
beyond. But she drank from the river Lethe, which means she would have forgotten it all. But maybe you can pull that back in Dream and Death. I don't know. There's so many rules.
Yeah,
Owen. Hey, Owen. Hey, Owen.
Got a question for you.
Hey, Owen. How does it all work?
How do the dreams work?
How do dreams
Explain it
work?
to us.
How does the death work? Yeah, it was with the dream visions. I think Owen's done a chapter on an episode on the dream visions.
I
need to revisit. I think it was Jason. Because the way he describes Jason, he's so insubstantial He's like flickering like a shadow that's not really there. And that is how shades are described.
Yeah, most likely was Jason.
Mm-hmm. And I think, and the thing of like sleep and death being so close. And I think it was like literally, I don't think it was like Apollo having a dream where Jason tells him the things that he already knows. Because also Jason tells Apollo stuff that he literally doesn't know. So I think it was Jason. And I think that is Rick leaning into the sleep and death being so connected.
Yeah.
Because also when
you don't sleep, you die.
You do die. When you don't sleep, you die. A lot of things when you don't do, you die. But when you don't sleep, you do die.
You die quicker than most.
And then there's, was it Clovis?
Clovis, yeah.
That's the son of Hypnos, right? Yeah. Nico talks to him a lot.
Yeah. And it's also like, I got to bring this back. There's just a branch of a tree that's touching the River Lethe that's dripping river water.
Just into this kid's room?
Like,
is he the only son of Hypnos? At least the only one we have named. I don't remember if it's saying if he's got siblings in the cabin. But this feels like it should be a controlled substance that you can't just have this preteen running around with. Why do you have this in here?
It's because Hypnos showed up and was like, this is my cabin? Sweet.
No, Cletus.
Danger.
I think the kid's name is Cletus.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Clovis.
Oh my god, I have to double check.
Pretty sure there was a V in there.
It is Clotus. Who the hell is Cletus? I think there is a Cletus, and I'm just not remembering it.
I can't tell you.
It's also the name of Carnage from the Marvel, so maybe I'm getting confused. So, yeah.
Cletus Cassidy, played by Woody Harrelson.
Yes, he is.
Great job.
But there's actually I'm glad you mentioned the fact that Clovis just has a thing from the River Lethe in his bedroom, because that's from mythology. That's not just a weird thing Rick added for flavor, because it said that Hypnos lives in a cave from which the River Lethe flows from. Like the source of the river is from this cave. And he is described as a calm and gentle god, as he helps humans in need and, due to their sleep, owns half of their lives.
Like a third. But I guess.
I mean, depends on how much you sleep. Naps, DJ. We counting naps?
That's up to you.
I need to call up Hypnos and see if he'll visit my girlfriend more and help her sleep. She's just not getting good sleep.
Are you also getting 8 hours of sleep every night, Darren?
More than that for me if I had a good night. Would prefer to sleep more. So, Hypnos actually does appear in the Iliad. Proper. Named in the Iliad. Once upon a time, Hera went to Hypnos and is like, I need you to put Zeus to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, okay, for whatever reason. Let's say, I'm telling the story. Let's say, so he's like, I need you to put Zeus to sleep. I'm queen. You have to do as I say. And he's like, I'm not doing that. That's crazy. Oh, you don't think you can do it? You don't think you're powerful? Your domain of sleep is so weak you couldn't even put Zeus to sleep? Fuck you. I'll show you who could put Zeus to sleep. I
would more argue go to, okay, I mean, he's not in charge of me. It's Hades.
Well, put a pin in that. So, I like yours too.
I'm a chthonic god. I'm not.
I'll do what I want. So he puts Zeus to sleep. And the reason Hera wanted him to do this was because she was pissed off that Hercules had just sacked Troy and she wanted to punish him. So, and this was before the whole Paris and the Golden Apple thing, mind you, that got Troy on Hera's bad side forever. So Hypnos puts Zeus to sleep so Hera can send a storm after the ship that Hercules is on, because Zeus is like not gonna let her do that. And
yes, we know it's Heracles.
Yes,
but Heracles doesn't roll off the tongue like Hercules does.
Yeah, we're not. Listen, I'm going to use the Greek names when I'm describing stories Ovid wrote. I'm just going to use the Roman name when I'm talking about Hercules. Yeah. That's just the rule for the podcast. When Zeus found out, he was pretty pissed.
Yeah, understandably so.
And went after Hypnos, who ran back into the underworld to his mom's house to hide out for a little bit until the whole thing blew over.
When your mom's a primordial god.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm fine here. And so the whole Zeus isn't the boss of me. I'm an underworld god. Maybe Zeus is a little bit the boss of me. I'm going to hide out my mom's basement.
Zeus isn't the boss of me, but that doesn't mean I'm not scared of him.
Okay. This is what happened before the Iliad. Now we're in the Iliad.
Okay.
And Hera's like, I need your help. You need to put Zeus to sleep for me. And Hypnos is like, I don't I think that would be bad for me personally, based on what happened the last time.
Yeah.
And Hera offered him a beautiful golden seat that could never fall apart and a footstool to go with it. Like, she offered him a really nice recliner.
Bro, you want the best lazy boy over at RC Willie?
Yeah.
Because we can get you that.
Yeah. And for the god of sleep, like, that's not a bad, now that I'm thinking about it, not a bad offer. Hey, man, you want a really good napping spot?
I'd rather a sleeping spot. Give me a nice mattress.
Ooh. The really comfort memory foam mattress pad.
Maybe not memory foam. I don't like memory foam.
Interesting. Okay. But that, you're right, DJ. The really nice RC Willie recliner was not good enough for Hypnos to threaten himself getting on Zeus's bad side again. So Hera's like, okay, fine. I will let you marry Pasithea, who is one of the youngest Graces, who are like the Muses, but not. I think we've talked about them briefly before. Sometimes they're called the Charities. They're just this collection of goddesses. In fact, let me dig into Pasithea. So yeah, she's one of the Graces. She's if she had any sort of function or role, it's not mentioned in Homer or Nonnus, who are the two sources that we have her for. But the Graces or the Charities, they were goddesses of charm, beauty, nature, human creativity, goodwill, and fertility. So just like concepts that humans like and are into. So Hypnos had actually always wanted to marry her. So once Hera's like, I will set you up, you'll be allowed to marry her now. Then he was like, okay, that's a good deal, bet. Hera, this is a whole thing that I'm sure we'll get into later, but she actually goes to Aphrodite and is like, hey, I want to make peace with this whole Troy thing. And the only way to do that is if I can, like, talk to Zeus and make amends with him. So can you, like, hook me up a little bit with some of that, like, sex goddess magic? And Aphrodite said, yeah, absolutely. So she does. So Hera goes to Zeus and is like, hey, hon. And he just can't. He cannot resist her now, even though this has been a whole thing with the Troy thing. By the way, she was lying to Aphrodite, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't actually want to make amends. This is a trick. She goes to Zeus, and Zeus is like, oh my god. And she's like, hey, come over here. And they go off, and then Hypnos is able to put Zeus to sleep. He just thinks he went to sleep for normal reasons after you've been hanging out with your wife who just went to Victoria's Secret.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Get all nice and tuckered out.
And so after Hypnos put Zeus to sleep, he also sent a message to Poseidon letting him know that he was now free to help the Greeks in the war, because that was what this was all about. And this, with Zeus out of the picture for a while, this actually turned the tide of the war. And because Hera distracted Hypnos, Zeus never found out Hypnos had gotten involved.
Yeah.
There's actually another prominent story about Hypnos, but it's a variation of the Endymion story. An Endymion was either a shepherd or a hunter or a king, user's choice.
Yeah.
Who the Titaness of the moon, Selene, fell in love with. And so she asked Zeus to give him eternal youth so she could keep him forever. And Zeus actually had some beef with Endymion. Now, either because Endymion lusted after Hera, or because he was upset that a mortal had gotten the attention of the goddess, or like a Titaness, a deity. And that latter feels more reasonable, because God's sinned to do that shit.
Yeah.
And so he granted Selene's wish by putting Endymion into an eternal sleep.
Oh.
And so Selene would...
Sleeping Beauty style.
Yeah. Real Sleeping Beauty style, because with Endymion, Selene had 50 daughters, which we call a big yikes. Hey, Selene? No. Not great. Not great. In a variation, Hypnos replaces Selene, and he puts Endymion asleep himself, but makes sure his eyes stay open so he could gaze into the eyes of his beloved forever. Which is also a yikes from me, fam.
Little did we know, Endymion has a signed contract that says, yeah, you can absolutely run it, dude.
Yeah, listen, no judgment, only enthusiastic consent. We've got some enthusiastic consent. That's
run it,
great.
dude. I may not be able to speak, but here's a paper speaking
that sounds
for
great.
me.
Eternal youth? Yeah, sure. Listen, no judgment. We just need enthusiastic consent, which we know the gods weren't into. Hypnos is also kind of involved in the Ariadne tale.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly in works of art. There's like, what was it? There's like a vase that's called Ariadne Abandoned by Theseus. And it is it shows Hypnos, winged god. Like I said, sleep gods, always wings. And he's dripping Lethean water on Ariadne's head as she sleeps, implying that he helped Theseus abandon her by putting her to sleep, or maybe helped Dionysus by making Ariadne forget about Theseus.
Maybe helped Ariadne by making her forget about Theseus.
That makes sense too. I like the latter one. I like the latter one, actually, a lot. I wouldn't mind that one very much. But so and the story is also featured on a fresco in Pompeii. Yes, that one. There's also an image of Hypnos and Thanatos carrying the body of Sarpedon from the battlefield of Troy. And it's on an Atticate white ground Lekthos circa 440 BC.
Nice.
So while there's not a lot of there's only a couple hardcore myths that we have of Hypnos, the Iliad one being the primary one that gives us two that are kind of just the same thing. He appeared in art a lot. And from that art, you can have a lot of interpretations about adding more story to it. But it's also interesting, just it's more symbolic of what this god represented as sleep and dream and forgetfulness.
Mm.
And there's a thing after you've had your heart broken, just going to sleep for a while is really nice.
Let me just rest.
In pop culture, I get to talk about the Sandman now.
I was going to talk about Hades, but
yeah, you can talk about Hades, but we talked about Morpheus first. I get to talk about the Sandman now.
Okay.
In The Sandman by Neil Gaiman, great comic book series, excellent Netflix adaptation. Highly recommend. Is horror series, so check out
Take it with a
the
grain of
content
salt.
material before you get into it. Some of that stuff's pretty sideways. Also, from the 80s, some of the things haven't aged well. Go into that well-informed. But I still like it. It's one of the things that I like. I don't necessarily recommend it to everybody, but I do like it a lot. Morpheus is the Endless are these 7 anthropomorphic personifications of abstract concepts, essentially, where the first was destiny.
Okay.
And then death. Because once things existed, they were destined to die.
Yeah.
But in between that time, they learned to dream. And then you have desire, despair, destruction, and the youngest, delirium, who at one point in time was delight. And no one really knows what happened to her. Morpheus is dream. Oh, how wonky do I want to get into this? Where essentially he is Morpheus and also Hypnos, but they're not gods.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they are gods because they've influenced this human story to be gods.
So
And there are gods. There are human pantheon gods running around.
Mm-hmm.
But the Endless are not that. They predate all of it because we literally get stories from thousands of years in the past where they're running around on alien planets before Earth. It's great. But he is king of the dreaming, the dream realm, where all of literally dreams come from, but not just you sleep and your brain plays a movie for you.
Daydreams.
It's daydreams.
Ideas.
It's ideas. Yeah, DJ. It's creativity. It's inspiration. This is the place where stories are born and where they're stored and where they come from. There's a grand library where every dream and every story is stored. It's excellence.
Yep.
Listen, Neil Gaiman handles abstract, weird concepts so well. It's very cool. And Morpheus, there shortly around World War I, there's this human cult that was we want to imprison death so we can be immortal. And so they did a ritual to capture death, but they got death's brother instead. And so he was trapped for 60 years in the comic. In the Netflix show, it's 100 years because,
Yeah.
comics set in the 80s. And during that time, bad things happen to humanity. It doesn't end. Stories don't stop. But there's a sleeping sickness that impacts some people where they fall asleep and they never wake, or it's they're awake but they're asleep, they don't dream, and it's just things have been bad. Finally, because one guard nods off for just a second and dreams about being at a beach. Morpheus is able to reach out and steal a handful of sand, and now he's got the dream sand that he can use to escape. It's very cool. He gets some dark revenge in the comics. He curses the guy who actually originally imprisoned him is long dead now, but his son kept him in prison for longer than the father did when he was alive. So this fool is cursed with eternal waking. You know how you're in a dream and it's scary and you wake up and you're like, "Oh, I'm awake," but you're not. You're still dreaming, and then you wake up and you're like, "Oh, that is this dude's curse."
Rough.
It's Morpheus does not fuck around. He is very like vengeful for this like dream deity who's often very like can be very kind, but if slighted, even if the woman dumped him, is incredible. Listen, he sent one of his ex-girlfriends to hell, and that was pretty fucked up. This is not a pro Morpheus pod. I want to let you know.
What did she do?
She said, "I don't want to date you anymore because bad things happen when mortals and gods get together."
I feel like there's probably more to that context.
No,
I mean,
that's
continue.
exactly what happened, Davis. I can get the book and show you. That's exactly what happened.
There's context, Aaron, that I'm not going to read. That I just simply will ignore.
Anyway, finally he's decided, that was really shitty of me. I should probably get her out of hell. And then he rolls up in hell, and Lucifer's is like, you know what I don't want to do? Run hell anymore. Here you go, Morpheus. Here's the key. You can have the land. Bye. Because he wants to fuck with him because Morpheus embarrassed him one time in a rat battle, basically. And now he gives him the key to hell because he knows all the other pantheons are going to want to roll up and be like, we want that real estate. And whoever he doesn't pick is going to hate him and declare war on the dream realm. We might cover that story in a Remyth episode at one point in time. One of my favorite dream Morpheus things. Basically, they have this game, this challenge. He's trying to get his helmet back. A demon has it. And to get it back, they have to win a competition of... like, it's a word battle?
A flighting?
Kind of a flighting. Yeah, where it's like, oh, I am a wolf in the woods. Oh, I'm a hunter. Oh, I'm a storm. And just trying to get more and more and more. And it's
just two grandmas competing as to which one of their grandsons is better.
Yeah, basically that. It's very cool the way it's done in the Netflix adaptation. Because in the comic, it was originally just the demon who had the helm did the battle. And they just were saying things back and forth. And if he failed, I think he had to be the demon slave forever. But the battle was really literally just words. In the Netflix adaptation, Lucifer is actually the one who will be the champion, and so played by Gwendolyn Christie.
Okay,
and is incredible.
She's wonderful.
Such a good Lucifer. Oh, the gravitas. But also, as they're saying that I'm a wolf, I'm this, I'm that, it actually does cause physical harm, like like a wolf scratched or like an arrow pierced or something, and that's very cool. So it goes and goes, and then eventually Lucifer, the demon, depending on like which one, they say, I am entropy. I am the end of all things. And that's like, oh, what could beat that? What could beat that? And then Morpheus, god of dreams, god of imagination, god of stories, or personification of stories, says, I'm hope. And literally it's like, because this story is called A Hope in Hell. Mm-hmm. And it's very good. It's very comic booky. It's very weird. And he wins because they can't think of anything else. And at first they try to be dismissive. It's like, oh, you hope. Like, what does it matter? Like, you're nothing here in hell. We'll get our revenge eventually.
It's the hope that there's something after the end.
Exactly. Because he says to them, okay, yeah, maybe you think that, but also think about this. What power does hell have if the victims here can't hope for something better? And that's where Lucifer is like, I'm gonna ruin that man's whole career. And he does. Oh my God, he does. In time, things go real sideways. That's all I will say about Morpheus in the comics. I think very, very cool. The whole reason I wanted to do an episode on Morpheus was to talk about that hope in hell, which is one of my favorite stories.
We just couldn't make enough content on just Morpheus, so we had to involve Hypnos.
So we involved Hypnos. DJ, you want to talk about Hypnos?
Yeah, I tried actually looking to see if there's anything else that I would know him from, but there's really not.
Yeah.
He's in Hades.
He's in Hades.
He's the bookkeeper of hell.
I love our boy.
Yeah, he's the not bookkeeper, like essentially the guy who checks who's coming in.
Yeah, he's just like the reservation clerk.
Yeah. And he's always asleep.
He's always
It's
asleep.
fun. He's always got something to fucking say, that little
Also
bastard.
a total gossip, though.
Yeah.
Like, he's always asleep and will judge you for getting killed.
Yeah.
And we have, like, Thanatos in there, too, and also brothers. And I love that there's kind of an arc where in order to, like, up your relationship with Hypnos, you have to get Than to be nicer to Hypnos and support him and basically tell his brother that he thinks he does a good job.
You also have to get the Minotaur to give him an autograph.
Yes, and I've done that. I did do that, and it was really cool because he's such a big fan of the Minotaur. And then Theseus, do you want my autograph? Hard pass.
No.
No. Well, you go to Spirit? Yeah, my Spirit was used by Achilles. It's way cooler than your Spirit.
Was used by Achilles.
He's
and
way more
Hades,
famous than you.
And it's going to be used by Guan Yu.
Guan Yu.
You don't know who that is. Neither do I, but it's going to be used by him.
It's so cool. I'm so excited for the next Hades game. This is the second episode in a row we get to talk about the Hades game briefly. And yeah. But yeah, I love Hypnos. He's so lazy.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do anything, but he has to because his mom is kind of making him because they live in the house of Hades.
Yeah. Like, you got to, at the very least, carry your weight some way, bud.
Yeah. And Than is so mad all the time because he works so hard.
Yeah.
It is that very, like, sibling vibe of like, I work so hard and my sibling gets to get away with murder. It's not
I work so hard
fair.
and I still can't keep up with my work. I employ Hermes to help me.
Yeah, it's not fair. Anyway, I like it very much.
Yeah.
I wish I could get more of that story, but I am stalled out on the fact that I can't get far in the game and I'm so burnt out, but I want the rest of it. I still haven't gotten the epilogue and it makes me mad.
I got the epilogue. It was great.
So DJ, so this is when we haven't acknowledged it. I mean, I've talked about it with our patrons and posted about it on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
But this is one of the first episodes we were recording after you faced a fate that took out Houdini.
Yeah, I had appendicitis.
Mm-hmm.
That was wild.
That was wild.
It was very
That was
rough.
a wild Friday.
Yeah. It's really
But you're
like genuinely looking back, I'm like, that story is nuts. I had constipation for a week and it turned out to be fucking appendicitis.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When the doctor walked in after your test, was like, it's not constipation, it's appendicitis. And we were both just like, what? Because we had talked. Do you think it's appendicitis? You're like, nah, it's on the wrong spot of my body.
The problem is that it really was right where my bladder is and right above just
Those
like
guts.
just the area that you would have indigestion.
Yeah.
And if it was any more to the right, I would have considered appendicitis much sooner than the fucking news.
Yeah. Apparently it was because your appendix was so inflamed and swollen.
But it never even started here. That's the problem.
That's
the
weird.
pain never started on the side.
Wild.
It was constant right there. And then it ruptured. I gotta say, there was a point in time where it hurt so bad I screamed.
Oh, DJ?
And it must have ruptured right there.
Yeah, probably.
Because like
probably...
it hurt so bad, and then it went back to where it was, and so I'm like, I don't know what the fuck happened, but that like at that point, I think you were running errands at that point, and then you would come home, and I was sitting there, I'm like, I need to go to the hospital.
No, but it hadn't ruptured, but they didn't think it had ruptured
Yeah, I have
before.
no idea,
I think it
but
ruptured
was,
during surgery.
Dude, it hurt so bad, and it had to have been just because I had to pee too, and it was right on my bladder, and that kind of pressure was just bad.
So the reason I mention all of this is because they had you on morphine, which is named for Morpheus, god of dreams.
And on morphine for like, I mean, for that point in time is the only time I remember ever getting morphine. They gave me oxycodone for the rest of the time after
But
that.
yeah, it was when we were in the ER waiting for them to figure out what was on that they had you on morphine.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And
hey.
it helped. It definitely helped. The pain didn't disappear, but it lessened.
I'm like, hey, we could talk about this for the podcast when we do the Morpheus episode. You can tell us what it's like to be on morphine.
I'm going to be real. Not much different to just like literally the pain was lessened. I didn't feel any different.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, I never got leafy, but it's probably because most of the morphine was going to keeping the pain under wraps and not affecting my psyche.
Yeah, that was that's how bad the pain was. Morphine helped, didn't solve it.
I've broken my collarbone, and the pain of the appendicitis was worse.
Oof. just brief public service announcement for our listeners.
If something's wrong with your gut, just go to the ER.
Yeah, your urgent care center can't diagnose.
Primary health cannot do it.
Yeah, which is for people who don't have primary health in the area, is an urgent care center.
Yeah.
They
and
can't
the ER
do it.
has, at the very least, the ER that I went to, and it might be even more for other places, the ER has urgent care codes for insurance. So you'll get charged urgent care, but you'll be able to be diagnosed with appendicitis.
If you've got gut stuff, go to the ER.
If your gut stuff has lasted more than 2 to 3 days, go to the ER.
I've also read stories of folks who menstruate and had what they thought were period cramps, and they were so bad and that it turned out to be appendicitis. And they're like, "Why didn't you do anything?" It's like I thought it was honestly. I've had
just a bad bout. It's just a bad bout.
And listen, speaking of experience, I've had ones that were so bad. I took half a hydrocodone because roommate had broken their foot and had some left over, and that was the only thing that helped with the pain. It was bad. Yeah. If you're someone who has menstruates and experiences very bad menstruation cramps, you should talk to a gynecologist about that, because actually, that's not typical, and you don't have to live with that pain.
No, it's not.
Find a solution that's right for you. Also, if you have gut pain, it could be appendicitis. Please check in and take care of yourself.
Go to the ER.
Yep. I think I described it as one of your organs committed mutiny.
Yeah.
And had to be removed.
Little bastard.
So that's the only
I worked him too hard and now he was tired of it.
Yep.
Little bastard.
Last one I've got, Morpheus is a character in The Matrix.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy who wakes people up.
Yeah. He's the one that gives Neo the red pill, blue pill.
Yeah.
But like you said, because he'll either wake you up or he'll let you choose to go back into the dream.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
It's a lot of fun. I want to know the people that chose to go back.
There's one guy in the movie who wants to make a deal because he's like, real life sucks too much. I want to go back, but I want to live in luxury.
Yeah.
We can't talk about The Matrix here. Maybe it's a Muth movie night. Maybe it's a Remuth episode some other time.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it later. But that is all I have for Morpheus and... Oh, hold on. Lore Olympus.
No, Morpheus did show up in Lore
Olympus and Hypnos both rolled up in Lore Olympus after the 10-year time skip.
Yeah.
We have Morpheus who helps Persephone wake up Hades because Kronos has taken over the underworld.
Yeah.
They're great.
They are fun.
They are super fun. They are and Morpheus in this is their pronouns are they, them, and they are the goddess of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's neat. And they've got the cool wings. It's very cool.
And Hypnos looks cool.
Hypnos looks really cool. He just came around. Everything was going sideways. He kind of just came out to get I think he steals sodas or something. I totally forgot until I looked over and remembered they're both in Lore Olympus. But Kronos
I remember
possessing
them having to get Morpheus to set up an appointment to get Hypnos, not him just showing up.
Oh, well, the thing is, sometimes Hypnos will sneak around and just steal, sodas, I think.
Oh, okay.
And that's how Kronos Hades got him and was like, hey, so what if I wanted to do this? And then he does trap Hypnos, and that's how he's able to put everyone to sleep.
Okay.
And, yeah, because that's what Morpheus is like, yeah, my father never showed back up, and I started to get worried. Morpheus is great. I'm super jazzed to get more Morpheus.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
In Lore Olympus. They are very good. Okay, so remember the one that obviously people were going to be like, we can't believe you forgot, but we didn't. Listeners, we didn't forget.
Are you talking about Lore Olympus, or is it something?
Yeah,
okay.
Lore Olympus. We didn't forget. There it is.
There you go.
There it is. But if there are others, absolutely let us know. I keep looking at my graphic novels like I'm going to, something else will jump out at me.
Right. I'm sure there are some that we might have encountered, just don't remember because they're small characters or whatever.
Yeah, or one that we've never encountered, but it's a really cool depiction of Morpheus or Hypnos. Please tell us more.
Other than that, I got nothing else.
No, I think that is it. DJ, thank you so much for going through this journey with me. A journey of sleep.
Of course.
I think we should take a nap now.
You can take a nap. I'm going to go hang out on my computer.
Okay, well, fine. I won't take a nap either. I guess I'll do work and edit. I'll record other podcasts and edit and be productive.
There you go.
Fine, whatever. And listeners, if you listen to our Muse Around the Garden sequence, you've probably already heard this, but we're just going to reiterate for folks who maybe missed it.
We're doing a giveaway if you leave us a 5-star review.
Yes, we are trying to increase the presence of the podcast, and one really great way to do that is to have listeners tell other people that the podcast is enjoyable and worth their time. And the best way for you to do that, one, literally tell your friends about it, but also by leaving a review on whatever podcasting app you use. Apple Podcast is the big one, but honestly, if you have Google Podcasts, I think you can leave reviews there. If you listen to Spotify, you can just leave us a rating.
YouTube Music now has podcasts too.
Yeah, basically just leave us a 5-star review saying why you like the show, why you think it's worth people's time. This is a giveaway that is open to all our listeners, even if you've already left us a review, because when you leave the review, or if you already have, in order to enter for the drawing, you need to take a screenshot of that review and then send it to MusesOfMythology@gmail.com, because that's how we're going to be able to contact you directly if you win.
Yes.
This giveaway is open to everyone. I don't care where you're at.
And reminder, if it's a 5-star review, we will still read it.
We will read it. We will shout you out and thank you and read what you say.
Yep.
So, yes, please give us a happy, positive review. Let us know you did so we can maybe send you a thank you. And what is that thank you? Why, it's a copy of Girl, Goddess, Queen by B. Fitzgerald.
Well, there you go.
The book that's currently only published in Europe. So if in the U.S., I will send you a copy of this.
There you go.
It's a book that we talked about last episode.
Yep.
I think Hypnosis is actually mentioned in Girl, Goddess, Queen as one of the underworld gods of Hades' court.
Just mentioned.
Yeah, I think he's there. He gets a couple lines where you get to meet a lot of them, and it's a big party. It's great. And then we've talked about that on our August Remyth episode was with my girlfriend. We did a whole episode about that. So if you listened to it and thought it was cool, or you haven't listened to it but want to read this great book, this is what we're doing. We are really trying to push the podcast into the next level of what we create and how we engage with our audience, and bringing in more listeners to join this community is the first step in doing that. And for real, having like positive, happy reviews that folks see and help them want to like listen to the podcast will help so much.
Yeah.
So as DJ said, we will thank every single person who does leave a review and emails it to us, like on the podcast. Then on Halloween, we will do the drawing.
Yep.
And send that to the winner. To be clear, this is not affiliated with Penguin Books or B. Fitzgerald. It's just a really cool book that I think more people should read, and I would really like to send someone a copy of it. I can't send everyone a copy of it, but hey, listeners, make this worth our while. We'll send you a present.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Until next time, don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Muses of Mythology is created and hosted by Darren and DJ Smart. It's edited by Darren Smart. The show is produced by Darren and DJ Smart, as well as
Tim O'Connor, The Crystal Con Man, Nicholas Miller. Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hain, and our cover art is by Audrey Miller. You can find her on Instagram at Bombshell Nutshell Art.
Want more Muses of Mythology? Support the show on Patreon. Just $1 gets you exclusive bonus content. Get more at patreon.com/Muses of Mythology.
You can also support the show by leaving a review at lovethepodcast.com/Muses of Mythology, or tell a friend why you love the show.
Don't forget to check out all of our episodes and episode transcripts at musesofmythology.com.
Thanks for listening.